Okay, so let's start with the JavaScript interview questions for freshers. So, first of all, what are the different data types present in JavaScript? So, mainly there are two types of data types in JavaScript. First are the primitive data types, and the others are called the non-primitive data types. So primitive data types are basically those data types which can store only a single value. Means, for example, let's say we have a variable. What we can store in that? We can store any let's say we can store x equals to 1, x equals to 10, or x equals to any string or character, anything we can give, like. So it is a primitive type of data type. While we have non-primitive data types, these are the data types that can store multiple values and complex values as well. And these are the derived data types from the basics or the primitive data types. So there are various different types of primitive data types. For example, here we have strings. It represents a series of characters and is written with quotes. Let's say here is an example, John Doe. So it is in string here. We can write it using double quotes also and single quotes also. A string can be represented using a single or double quote, any. Number is anything, any mathematical number which can be written without or with decimal points. Big int, this data type is used to store numbers which are above the limitations of the number data type. So the number data type has a fixed limit, like from a range where it can go. But when we need a very large number, then instead of the number data type we use big int. Then we have Boolean. Boolean can data type can show only one or two. Means it can be either true or false. It is generally used for conditional testing. Then we have undefined. When a variable, you might think that undefined is an error. No, undefined itself is a data type in JavaScript. When a variable is declared but not assigned, means we have declared that a is equal where a, so and semicolon, then it is declared but the value is not assigned. In that case it will return undefined. Okay, then we have null. It represents a non-existent or a invalid value. For example, why we would need null? Let's say we want some value to be put in a variable but not right now, then we can put it null for now, and later on when we need to change the value, then we can reassign it. What are symbols? Symbol is a data type introduced in ES6 version of JavaScript. It is used to store an anonymous or unique value. Whenever we need to store some anonymous or unique values, then we use the symbol data structure. Type of in primitive types, means type of is also type of will return string for this type of data structure. 3.14 will return number, true will return boolean. And type of basically a predefined keyword in JavaScript which can be used to find the type of the variable. Now talking about non-primitive data types, here we have an example which is objects, or we can say arrays are also non-primitive, or vectors are non-primitive. Everything like that is non-primitive. So object here, let's say the syntax is, it is used in curly braces and x equals to 43, means it is a key and value pair. Here we use the collection of data in key value pairs. Now talking about hoisting. What is hoisting? Hoisting is one of the most important topics in JavaScript. Let's say let me keep it here, or maybe it's fine here. Okay, so hoisting is basically the movement of all the declarations of functions or variables at the top of the scope whenever the JavaScript code is executed. So let's say we have declared a variable where x, okay, x is equals to 43. Then in this case let x will be moved at the top of the scope, while x equals to 43 will remain at the exact position where it was initialized. So the initializations does not move at the top, while the declarations move at the top of the program. So this is called hoisting. So hoisting can be both a local scope or global scope. Okay, then here are some example. Let's say we have a variable x here, we have declared it later on and initialized it earlier, but it will not create any error as it will be hoisted. So if we, in any cases we want to avoid hoisting, then we can run the JavaScript in strict mode. How we can run it? Using the use strict hook. There is a hook provided in JavaScript called use strict mode, which can basically avoid hoisting. Now what is a debugger? Let me read first. The debugger for the browser must be activated in order to debug the code. Built-in debuggers may be switched on and off. Means debuggers are basically used to debug the code. Means to debugging simply means to find out the error or the point which is causing error. Any statement or any point of time which is causing error in the code is called can be detected using the debugger. So what we actually does is, for example, this is my JavaScript, and here we have option in the settings. We have I don't know, I'm not very sure where it was, but if you want, then later on I'll get it and find it and let you know about this. Okay, so debugger we can find in JavaScript as well. So debugger basically goes at the point and stops the code over there. Like it should execute all the earlier codes, while it should stop after it is executed that part. So it is saying built-in debuggers may be switched on and off. We can switch on and off them, and requiring a user to report faults. A remaining section of the code should stop execution before moving on the next line with debugging. Now difference between equals to and triple equals to operators. This is one of the most important questions asked in every interviews I've ever appeared. For example, let's say we have equals to. So what it is going to do is, it is just going to compare the values and not the data types, while triple equals to operator is going to compare the values as well as types of the data. Okay, so let's say for example, where x is equals to 2, where y is equals to double quotes 2. The double quotes here are turning the 2 into string data type. So in case of this double equals to, it will return true, while in case of triple equals to, it will return false, as the data type of x and y does not match. Now here we have difference between where and let keyword in JavaScript. This feature was basically evolved in ES6. From the very beginning, the where keyword was used in JavaScript. Means starting where keyword was only there, let keyword wasn't there. Then in 2015, when ES6 was developed, then the let keyword appeared. So the main difference between both of them are that variable is accessible, and we can redefine and reinitialize the redefine the variables, while we cannot redefine the let blocks. Okay, let and const are hoisted but not initialized. Means they both are hoisted but not initialized. Referencing the variable in the block before the variable declaration results in reference error because the variable is in an temporal dead zone from the start of the block until the declaration is proceed. Okay. Now, when we are talking about where, let, and const, I think we need a better differentiation between all of these. So, where is global or function scoped, while let is block scoped and constant is also always block scoped. Now, talking about redeclaration. Redeclaration means we can again do like where a equals to 10, then after some time we can again say where a equals to 10 or where a equals to 20, any values. In case of let, we cannot redeclare the values, and constant, we obviously know we cannot redeclare or change the values also. Now talking about reinitialization means updating the values. We can update the values of the where, we can update the values of the let, but we cannot update the values of a constant. So the main difference between where and let are over here in the part of redeclarations, that where can be redeclared while let cannot be redeclared. Now moving back, let me cut it out. Talking about implicit type coercion in JavaScript. Implicit type coercion in JavaScript is the automatic conversion of value from one data type to another. So we have seen an example here that where x equals to 3, where y equals to 3. Both of them uses the where keyword. But then how it is identifying that it is a string or it is a number? So that is done by the implicit type coercion. It takes place when the operand of an expression are of different data types. When the operands are of different data types, then it implicitly means JavaScript has this inbuilt feature of identifying the data type itself. Now string coercion also it does, like whenever we have plus operator, then it will convert that plus, if it is a number, if the string holds a number, then it will converts the string format to a number and returns 33. While if it is a string, after the this concatenation sign, then it will return this kind of format, means 24 and hello, then it will return 24 hello. In case of this, it will simply just add on. If both are strings, then output will be simply concatenated. So here what we learned is this plus sign is known as concatenation sign or concatenations, this operator. Okay. Now let's see what happened in case of Boolean coercion. Boolean coercion takes place when using logical operators, ternary operators, if statements and loop checks. To understand Boolean coercion in if statements and operators, we need to understand truthy and falsy values. We need to understand truthy or false value. In this case, if x is equals to 0 and y is equals to 23, if x, in this case it is given x, so it will turn it into the form of it will convert it in the form of Boolean. It will treat it as a Boolean variable. While when it is 23, it is not 23. The code inside the block will run since the value of y is 23. If it is more than 0, then it is converted true here. Let me read here. Truthy values are those which will be converted to true. False values are those which will be converted to false. All the values except false, 0, on, -0, or this empty double quotes, null, undefined and nan are truthy values. Means except 0, this 0 and -0 and this one null and undefined and nan. Nan here is not a number, it is also a type of data type in JavaScript. We'll talk about this in the future videos. Okay. now logical operators. Logical operators are basically or, and, which we read in the uh, like in the logic form, like or, and, not, etc. Or means if this value is true or this value is true, means any of these value will be true, then it will return true. And if in case of AND operator, if one value is true, then other should also be true. In that situation only it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So let's say we have an example here, 220 and y is equals to hello while z is equals to undefined. X or y returns 220 since the first value is truth. What it will return? It will return first value is truth, so it will return 220. In case of this, it is second one is undefined, hence this is or, means it is 0 and it is 1. In this case also it will return 220 only. But in case of AND, it will return hello, as because it is considered as 0 because it is a string. We find here, we have read here that anything is string is also considered as 0. So 1 and 0 will return 0, so the output will be 0 in this case. And y and z means in case of this, y is hello and it is undefined, means 0 and 0 will also return undefined since the second value is false. Okay. Equality coercion. Equality coercion takes place when using equals to operator. As we have started before, the equals to operator compares values and not types. Means it will only compare the values. We have already read about this, right? That it will only compare the values and not the types. So how it is going to check? We have already read about this. Okay, let's guess the answer. If it is 12 and equals to 12, that it is obviously going to return true because it is not checking the type. And we have read that JavaScript implicitly converts the type. It means it is going to give us true here. Now in case of this also, if it is triple equals to, then it is going to be false, as it is converted as a string and number cannot be ever equal of same data type. Okay, now let's move to the next question. Is JavaScript a statically typed or a dynamically typed language? Okay, first of all we need to know what is a statically typed or dynamically typed. Here let's say JavaScript is a dynamically typed language. In a dynamically typed language, the type of variable is checked during the runtime. So there are two times a code is checked. First is the runtime, and second is the compile time. The runtime, the compile time is when the code is trying to find the error, and the runtime is when the code has already checked for the errors but it couldn't find any error, and then it found that there is no such error found, and then it finds something during the running stage. Okay, so it is basically a dynamically typed language if it checks everything checks the type of the variable in the runtime. Okay, and when the types of variable is checked during the compile time, then it is a statically typed language. So in case of this, let's say example of a static typing: string name equals to John, name equals to 34. It will give an error, as in case of during the compile time. Variable have types, values have types, and variables cannot change type. In this case, the variables cannot change type. In a statically typed language, variables cannot change the type of the data type. Okay, and in case of dynamic typing, the variables can change the type. Okay, here we have another example where a is equals to 23 and where a is equals to hello world. Both will be at the end it will be converted to this, but it will not throw any error as it is dynamically typed language. And in variable in JS are not associated with any type. What is a nan property in JavaScript? This is very important. It says nan stands for not a number, but it is also when returned the type of operator will return a number. Means I mean to say that whenever we will find type of nan data type, then it will be a number. So what it basically checks is, let's say we have is nan hello, means is this not a number? Is hello not a number? It is true that hello is not a number, obviously. Is nan 345? Returns false. Why? 345 is not a number. 345 is a number. In this case, it returns false. 1 in a string returns false because in string format it is converted to a string. 1 is in the strings, in the quotes will be converted to a string. In this case it will convert to false. Undefined also returns true because it is not a number, and false also returns false, and true also returns false because it is also not a number. It is type of Boolean, so it should return false. Explain passed by value and passed by reference. So we need to understand passed by value and passed by reference. For example, whenever we need to change, we need to copy one data to another component, or let's say we need to copy one data to another data. Means we have an object and we need to copy the data of that object into another object. In that case, what we are basically going to do is, in that case, if we want to change the data of the parent, means let's say the first one is A and second one is B, we need to copy data from A to B, but we need to check that when we change the data of the B, the data of A should also change or not. If the data will change, if we will change the data of B and it will lead to the to change in data of the A, then it is called pass by reference, because by reference we are giving, it means it is changing the value of A. But when we are copying the data from A to B, but we are not giving pass by reference, only we get the values, it's called pass by value. Okay, so this is let's say for example here we have where y is equals to hash y pointing to the address of the value 223. So here we have passed by reference, while here we have passed by value x is equals to y. So whenever we are going to change, say pointing to a complete new address of the value, changing the value of y equals to 23, console.log z returns 234 since the z points to a new address in the memory. When we changed here, then the value was changed here as well. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so here we have is, let's say when we are talking about pass by value, so let's say where y equals to 234 and z equals to y, means here z is equals to 234 only. But in this case what is going to happen is the address is going to be different, means y is pointing at some position of address in the memory with the value this, but where z is equals to y, means z is going to be 234 the value, but the address is not going to be same. But in case of by reference, both will be pointing to the same memory block. In this, both were pointing to the different memory block while holding the same values. But in this case, both are holding the same value as well as same memory block. So this is the main difference between both of them. Here we have what is an immediately invoked function in JavaScript. We call it ify function also. Is a function that run as soon as it is defined. Means whenever we want to execute or write an anonymous function which does not hold any name but should be executed as soon as it is defined, then then we use the ify function. The syntax is here, function, and then braces like this, and then curly braces, and call it at the same moment when it is defined. So here we have, let's say, to understand ify function we need to understand the two sets of parentheses that are added while creating an ify function. So the first set of parentheses are here, which means this one. While executing JavaScript code, whenever the compiler sees the word function, it assumes that we are declaring a function in the code. Therefore, if we do not use the first set of parentheses, the compiler throws an error because it thinks we are declaring a function. By the syntax of declaring a function should always have a name. So in this case, if we do not use the this parenthesis over here, then it will throw an error, as a function should always have a name. But ify function does not need a name. Now the question would be that why we need this one here, because we need to call it at the same moment it is defined. Simple. Now biggest question would arrive, why we would need ify function when we have arrow functions and simple functions. So when we need to make something very private, like some variables that should be used in a particular function and finished with the end of that function. So in that case we need ify functions. So till here we have completed the 10 questions. Other questions will be completed in the future videos. Then thank you for watching. Bye bye.